the #1 team in college basketball got beat last night. The Alabama Crimson Tide went into Tennessee, a really hostile Tennessee environment, and lost. A really good game. You know what Tennessee provides defensively, and you know how good Alabama is. I've been calling them the best team in college basketball for a month or so. And so to see them get beat last night really says a lot for Tennessee. Tennessee's coming off a really tough stretch. They beat Texas, a huge win, one of their biggest wins on the season besides last night. And then they lost to Florida by 13, and then they beat an okay Auburn team, 46-43, in a really ugly game where neither team could score the ball. Then they lost to Vanderbilt on a buzzer-beating three-pointer in the corner in a game they should have won. They had plenty of chances to win. And then they lost to Missouri on an almost half-court shot to lose the ball game. So really rough stretch for Tennessee. It's really cool to see them bounce back and how they did it last night. Pescaville provided 15 points and 8 rebounds. He missed another really clutch free throw at the end to put it up by 10, I think, with about 1:20 left. So he missed another free throw. He's missed some clutch free throws the past 3 games, but overall he had a really good game for them. Also provided 8 rebounds. Zakai Ziegler, huge game. He had a huge first 2 or 3 minutes with 2 threes in the first 2 or 3 minutes. He had 15 points. Also facilitated and play made really well. 15 points, 8 assists. He put Javon Quinterly in a spin cycle at one point, but he missed the and one. And man, if he had got that down, that whole place would have went crazy. So huge game for Tennessee. Adu was huge for them last night. He had a sequence where he made a layup, then blocked a shot, then made a layup, and just huge for him. I didn't know too much about Adu before coming into this game, and probably a couple weeks ago was when I just first heard of the name, but he has been great for them. Obviously, Plavich is a huge guy for them down low, and Tennessee's just a really big team. Kind of showed Alabama's weakness in size. Clowney and Bediako held their ground, but they just couldn't really stop the bigs. Tennessee was just really, really too big for them. Tennessee was also missing Julian Phillips and Josiah Jordan-James. That's who Tennessee was missing. So for them to get this win, missing those 2 key players for them, really says a lot about what Barnes has done for that team and this organization. They have a lot of high hopes for the season, and they should. They really should. For Alabama, it doesn't really change my perspective on them at all. Doesn't really change my opinion on them at all. Went into a tough environment and lost a game where they really had no business being in. A bunch of freshmen turning the ball over left and right. It felt like every other possession they turned the ball over. I know they had 12 turnovers in the first half, and the game was still tied up at 29. So a lot of things to say for Alabama. Sears had a really rough game for them. Brandon Miller showed out like he always does. He put Akamwa on his butt, man. Put him on the ground. Missed a shot, but he put him on the ground. So really cool moment for Brandon Miller. Had a couple long distance threes. Also, Alabama got a huge lift from Nimari Burnett. He hit a 3 and made some shots down the stretch to really keep him in the ball game. Same with Jaden Bradley. So just 2 really good teams going at it last night, and it might not be the last time we see them go at it. The SEC tournament's coming up. This is the second video where I've gotten a call halfway through it, so that's annoying. In other news, a good way to switch up the segment though. So in other news, Marquette beat Xavier, and that was a heck of a game. That final 2 minutes was some of the best basketball I've seen all year. Just left and rights going at it, and just one team taking a 1-point lead, and Marquette finished with a game-winning tip from Omax, I believe it was. So awesome game from them. Sule Boom, had an awesome night. Made some mental mistakes down the stretch, but just overall great game for both teams, and both teams should have won that game. That's just how it goes. That's what the coaches will say afterwards. Shaka Smart's got them feeling really good. Tyler Kolek, awesome for them. So really, really good things out of the Big East. Creighton and Providence played Tuesday night. I think it was Tuesday night, and they went to 2 overtimes, and Providence ended up winning 94-86. So the Big East has been providing some awesome games recently. They have a lot of tournament teams that will be really good in the tournament. So a lot of big things coming out of the Big East. Kentucky won a really good game at Mississippi State. Oscar Tshiebwe dominated, 18 points, I think 11 rebounds. Chris Livingston, I couldn't think of his name. Chris Livingston went off for them. Had a couple of huge buckets just down the stretch. So really cool to see him thriving out there. Him and Cason Wallace, man, they got some futures ahead of them. Arkansas, we lost to Texas A&M, a pretty good Texas A&M team. They had a tough out-of-conference stretch earlier in the season, but in conference play, I think they're 11-2. For 18-9 team, they're 11-2 in the SEC, so that's pretty crazy when you think about it. They're second, only behind Alabama, who I did mention before lost their first game in the SEC. Tennessee was their first loss to the SEC conference, first conference loss. So what an impressive season for Alabama still. But yeah, Arkansas lost to Texas A&M last night in a game where I really thought we were going to pull it off. I went to bed. I had to get up for work and stuff this morning. I went to bed and Arkansas was leading at probably about the 16-minute mark of the second half. So I felt like we would win it. Nick Smith only played 4 minutes. I don't really know what that was all about. If we have any hopes at all of winning a tournament game, going to the NCAA tournament, to be honest, we just have to get him going. So tough loss for us last night. We have a really tough stretch ending the season. We play Tennessee, Alabama, and Kentucky 3 straight games. So it'll be a huge test, and I'm excited for it. I really am. It's either that or nothing. Louisville had a huge game against Virginia last night. Not almost beating them, but man, there were some stretches. There were some stretches where Louisville was on top for a while, and I was like, what is going on with Virginia? But Virginia pulled it off. Virginia just plays that way, man. Their defense is so good, it'll be like a 55-40 game, and Virginia wins. That's just how they operate. That's how it's always been for Virginia, it seems like. But yeah, guys, if y'all like the college basketball videos, kind of college basketball just rambles, just like and subscribe. I love doing these. They're so fun to do because, man, it's one of the best sports on right now. So I appreciate y'all. I'm out.